You can pick this figure up from Dan's Dinosaur. Link is in the description of the video. And remember, if you pick anything up from Dan's, tell him Dino Scream sent you in the comment section of your order. It helps out the channel a great deal, and it's very much appreciated. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Nanmu review. Today we're taking a look at Behemoth, the Giganotosaurus. This was a very highly anticipated figure for me, and it's not too often I open up a box and just say the words, wow, this figure is impressive. It is truly a sight to behold. There are actually two versions of this figure, the orange version, which will be the subject of today's review, and there's also a blue version. That color scheme is very reminiscent of the Walking with Dinosaurs Tyrannosaurus Rex. The orange one was more appealing to me, but now having this figure in hand, I kind of wish I got both. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I got this figure from Dan's Dinosaur. It's a good idea to pay attention to Dan's when new figures get released. He usually runs some pretty good pre-order specials. When this Giganotosaurus got announced, he was running a special. I think it was like $75 or $78 for this figure with the base, which is an absolute steal because this figure normally retails for just over $100. And while we're talking about Dan's Dinosaur, I just want to give a shout out to his excellent customer service. If you watched my review on the PNSO Tyrannosaurus Rex, you will know that figure did not come with a tongue. I contacted Dan, he got back to me right away. We went back and forth, and he contacted PNSO, and they sent him a replacement tongue. And he said, I'll receive that tongue the next time I have an order from them, which was this Giganotosaurus. And just like he said, right in the box is my replacement tongue for my Wilson T-Rex. So big shout out to Dan. Your customer service is excellent, and that's why I love dealing with you. So before we take a look at this beautiful, beautiful figure, let's just go over the packaging really quick. Let's just move this big boy off to the side. It comes in the standard Nanmu style packaging. You have some beautiful artwork of the Giganotosaurus on the front. You got the Nanmu logos right here, the word Behemoth for this figure. And this actually comes in two different shipping boxes. The main figure is in this box, and the stand, the base for this figure, actually comes in a separate package. And that's because you have the option to order a base with this figure or not a base. If you don't get the base, it saves you like around $10, and the figure actually does stand really well without the base, but we'll get to that a little bit later on when we take a closer look at the figure. So these are the two boxes that come with the figure. You also get this beautiful card that comes in here with some nice artwork of the Giganotosaurus, and then on the other side you have this some more nice art of the Giganotosaurus. And I wonder if the blue one actually comes with the like a different color Giganotosaurus on this postcard. And then you also get a little instruction booklet to talk about if the feet don't line up with the stand, because these figures are made of kind of a flexible material. Temperatures and shipping can change the shape of a figure, so it just gives you some instructions how to warm up the feet and line them up with the pegs on the base if you're having problems getting your figure on the base. So let's start with a nice 360-degree view of this Giganotosaurus. This thing is so beautiful. Like I said, when I first opened the box, I just said the words wow out loud. I was just that blown away by it with my first look at this figure. And if there's one word to describe this thing, it's impressive. I was not expecting it to be this big. It's a large figure. It's very heavy. It has a very, premium dinosaur statue, feel to it. And it just looks absolutely beautiful from all angles. The sculpt work is fantastic. The scale detail is beautiful, and the paint work is immaculate. No sloppy paint on there, no paint rubs. It's just a beautifully painted piece, and it's just a gorgeous looking Giganotosaurus. Now, it's not a perfectly accurate Giganotosaurus. If you're an accuracy freak, you will find a few things wrong with it, and it probably won't be your cup of tea, but just for a cool looking dinosaur figure, man, I am just absolutely in love with this thing. Let's just do a couple quick measurements. This figure, if you measure it along the curve of the head and tail, is just over 19 inches long and just about 7 inches tall to the top of the head. So this is a big boy. So in real life, Giganotosaurus was between 39 and 43 feet long. So with those measurements, I'll put this figure somewhere in the 125 to the 127 scale range. As you can see, this figure stands perfectly fine without the base. The legs are very thick, and I don't think you have to worry about warping at all if you decide to go for the baseless option. You can just plop this thing right down, and it will not fall over. And speaking of the base, let's take a quick look at that. The base is made out of polystone, so it has a very heavy feel to it. And the base is sculpted to look like a rock. You have some beautiful texture and detail on this base. And you got some green dry brushing for some moss on here. You got some footprints carved out for the feet to go in. You have some two very sturdy metal rods sticking out to secure the feet on this base. Once you put this figure on the base, it's not going anywhere. It's actually a very tight and secure fit. And then turn the base over. You got the Nanmu logo on the bottom and Behemoth for the Giganotosaurus. So just to insert the base on this figure, you see the two holes on here. You just want to line them up and just push it on, and this figure is very securely on the base. The base is not going to fall out. Like I said, it's a very, very snug fit. So let's zoom in and take a look at some of the finer details on this figure, starting with this beautiful head sculpt. You'll notice that the head of this Giganotosaurus is a little bit shorter and taller than we're used to seeing. That is because not all the bones of the skull of Giganotosaurus are known, and some of the earlier reconstructions had the head pretty long and shallow, and looks like Nanmu went for the more recent, up-to-date reconstruction with that shorter head, and I have to say, I think it looks great. The head is a little bit shrink wrap. You can clearly see the fenestras right here and the orbit, but other than that, the head does look really fleshed out, and just seeing the fenestras really doesn't bother me like it would on other figures. The eye of this figure is painted absolutely beautifully. Let me just zoom in. It's green with a red iris and a black pupil, and it just looks absolutely beautiful. I just think it's one of the nicest painted eyes I have on any dinosaur figure in my collection. And just look at all the beautiful scale detail all over the head of this figure. I just love the tiger striping that we get on the head. It kind of reminds me of the tiger stripe raptors from the Lost World. And just look at the crazy amounts of scale variation all over the head of this figure. And just that paintwork, you can clearly see all these scales lining the lips of this figure. It kind of looks like the pressure centers you would see on the lips of a crocodile. The nostril is clearly sculpted right here. And then going to the back of the head, you can see the ear canal sculpted right along the seam. That really helps to break up the seam right there, placed in the ear canal, where the head meets the neck of this body. You get some really nice, scale ornamentation on top of the head right here. It's more beautiful scale detail along the head. I just love how much variation they gave this figure. And let me just turn it to the other side and just look at those teeth. I love how they use this like semi-translucent plastic. It really gives those teeth like a realistic enamel look to them, and the teeth really look like Giganotosaurus teeth, very knife-like and blade-like. If you want to see what I'm talking about, I actually do have a replica cast of a Giganotosaurus tooth. You can see it's very flat, looks like a knife. You have some nice serrations on the side, and those teeth on here pretty much match up to this. The jaw of this figure is articulated. Now, it doesn't close completely flush. Those teeth along the top row bang into the lower jaw right here, so that's the most you're going to get the mouth closed on this figure. I kind of wish it closed completely flush, but, if it would hamper, the type of material used for the teeth, I'm okay with that. And then the mouth opens up just about that wide. That's probably my biggest complaint on this figure. I just wish the mouth would open a lot wider. If you start going past here, you can see the gum tissue starting to come, below the upper jaw. You don't want to go too far because you don't want to snap anything. The gums on this side start to rub up against those teeth. The inside of the mouth is also beautifully, beautifully painted. It has a nice gloss coat in there to give it that wet look. The tongue has a lot of beautiful detail on it. There's a nice wash on there to bring out all that detail, and I just love the way the gums look. This figure has a very lifelike feel to it with all these beautiful touches to the mouth and eyes. And then going down to the neck is very broad and powerful looking. Now, starting at the top of the skull, going all the way down to about the halfway point of the tail, the scalation on the back is very crocodile looking, and normally I don't like that. I've criticized a lot of Spinosaurus figures for having that crocodile look, but I have to say on this figure I actually like it. You get some really large osteoderms along the side right here, and the crocodile look really does not bother me. I'm not really considering this like a super accurate Giganotosaurus for my collection. It's just a really cool and impressive looking dinosaur, so I kind of like this wild crocodile look going on the back of this thing. You can see the shoulder blade sculpted in right here. And then going down to the arms are not pronated. They have three very sharp claws that are painted in black paint. You have some nice dry brushing over the knuckles of the fingers, and then going down to the body. The body is beautifully sculpted, a lot of nice scale variation. You got some large osteoderms picked out here and there, and nice folds and wrinkles. And then turn the figure over, you get some nice scalation along the belly. It's painted in an off-white color with this nice brown wash to bring out all that beautiful scale detail, and that coloration continues all the way down to the tip of the tail, and then going to the hind legs. The hind legs are very broad and powerful looking. You get some more of that tiger stripe painting along the thigh right here. And they have a very powerful looking calf muscle, all tensed up. It looks like the animal's about to push off this hind foot. And then going down to the feet, you can see the toe claws are nicely sculpted, painted in black paint with a little bit of dry brushing to give them a more lifelike look. And those claws are pretty sharp. And then turn the figure over right here. You can see the pubic bone, which is part of the hip bone, is sticking out. Now, this is one thing that kind of bothers me on dinosaur figures. You know, theropods had these row of belly ribs called gastralia, and I really wish they would incorporate that. It usually starts right about here, and it'll connect to the tip of the pubic bone, so you really wouldn't see it protruding out like this in real life. So that's one minor nitpick on this beautiful figure. And then going down to the tail is nice and thick and muscular. Base of the tail is nice and thick. You got more of that crocodile looking scales going down to right about the 3/4 point of the tail. And there's some more small scales along the tip of the tail. I will say, I feel like the tail is just a hair too short. It just looks a little too short in my eyes when you look at the whole figure in profile. But other than that, this thing is, like I keep saying, beautiful. So let's move on with some comparisons. First up, here it is with the Rebor Killer Queen. Nanmu is known for mostly doing Jurassic Park, Jurassic World style dinosaurs. You know, I've been kind of hesitant to pick up their other products because I just feel like, you know, the Jurassic Park style dinosaurs have kind of been done to death, especially Tyrannosaurus Rex. But I will say their new Buck T-Rex that's coming out from Nanmu looks absolutely fantastic, and I will definitely be making an exception for that chunky boy. And next up, here it is with the PNSO Tyrannosaurus Rex. And after this review is done, you'll have a new tongue Wilson, so you'll be fully complete. And here it is with the GR Toys Spinosaurus. And I think these two look pretty nice next to each other. Still, this Giganotosaurus is still dwarfs like pretty much everything in my collection. You know, with that 127, 125 scale, it's kind of tough to have it scale with a lot of figures in your collection. And next up is, what else do we got here? Since it's on the side of the studio, because I still have to review it. Here it is with the Beast of the Mesozoic Subadult Triceratops. And let's do a couple of Nanmu comparisons. Like I said, I only have a few of their figures. Here it is with their Allosaurus, which it absolutely dwarfs. And here it is with my only other Nanmu figure. Here it is with their absolutely massive Apatosaurus. And I think these two look pretty good next to each other. And lastly, here it is with a bunch of other Giganotosaurs from various companies. The awesome Eofauna, the Safari Limited, the PNSO, the Vitae, the infamous Papo, and the old Carnegie collection. I still think the Eofauna Giga is probably the most accurate one on the market, but for shelf presence, that title in my collection was held by the Vitae one for a long time, but this Nanmu one has unseated the Vitae Giganotosaurus. This thing is just such a centerpiece. It has such a large shelf presence. It's just, your eye is just drawn to it instantly on the shelf. So final thoughts on this Giganotosaurus. I think this figure is absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I was not prepared for how big this figure is. It's a large, heavy figure. It is beautifully sculpted. The materials are top-notch, and the paintwork is fantastic. It has a very premium feel to it, and it pretty much justifies that just over $100 price tag. Love the material they use for the teeth. It gives it a very lifelike look. And I just think it's a cool looking dinosaur figure. I don't care that it's not 100% accurate. There's plenty of other companies to fill that niche for me. I just think it's damn cool looking. And it's going to be a centerpiece in my collection for a very long time. I've now become a huge fan of Nanmu ever since I got this Giganotosaurus. And I'll be eagerly anticipating anything they release, especially if it's on par with the quality of this figure. And like I said at the beginning of the review, you can pick this figure up from Dan's Dinosaur. Link is in the description. So that would do it for the review. I still have a few more figures that I need to really get reviewed, and I can finally work through my backlog of reviews. So as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.